Today we are going to understand something in order to build your consistency. Yes, this is the most important thing most of the people they miss in their life. And today I want you to understand the same thing when it comes to focusing on your consistency. Well, yes, when we try to understand certain things in our life, we keep learning many things. And when we learn different things at that time, the most important thing is nothing but in order to make ourselves a strong person to follow consistency every day in our life, we need to follow certain things. Well, let me give you an interesting example here. When you started learning when you start learning anything in your life, or if we just consider when you started learning your native language, what happened exactly at that time? Your mind started understanding few things, but it was not complete understanding, because in the beginning you cannot be pro, right? When we try to learn something, we need to spend hours and hours on practice. But before that thing, the most important factor people always miss is they do not try to do certain things consistently in their life. They are not able to follow that level of consistency, and that really matters a lot when it comes to English at that time. When we try to develop certain things in our life at that time, what I want you to understand is you are going to learn certain things every single day. This is the truth. Accept it. And when you try to learn certain things at that time, you need to be in that particular mindset. Now let me tell you a few things here. When you try to understand at that time, you keep understanding people on the basis of your present knowledge, right? Now you must have interacted with your boss today, with your seniors, with your colleague, with your friends and family members. Whenever you are trying to connect at that time, there was one thing that you were following, and that was nothing but your native language. So you are consistent enough to speak your native language as the primary mode of communication, and it happens every single time. I hope you agree on this thing. Because every single time when we do certain things in our life, we build those automated habits and everything works on that particular zone. And when you try to understand that thing at that time, it becomes a part of your real life. When you try to understand these things in simple way at that time, what happens? It becomes a permanent habit and you try to follow the same thing according to different situations. But let me tell you, you can also develop the same sense of consistency when it comes to improving your English. Now, most of the people, they always try to understand certain things and they have one thing in their mind which runs constantly. They always keep only one scenario in their mind in terms of their English. What is that thing? They keep telling that I want to become a fluent speaker. Every single time whenever I see those registration form responses, I get one thing from most of the people. 90% people say that I want to become a fluent speaker. Now, when you try to focus on fluency, is it possible to just follow that particular thing and you just understand that, yes, after following this thing, after following that thing, I'm able to become a fluent speaker in English? Well, remember one thing. When you try to improve yourself at that time, the importance of consistency plays an important role. How? Let me tell you a few things. When you start learning anything in your life, just look at yourself. Just try to understand what was the new thing that you learned recently. If you try to understand that thing, you will be in a position to understand that, yes, I started learning English grammar and I was able to apply some of the concepts. Are you still applying those concepts? If you are doing this, then I would say that you are on the perfect way to be consistent forever. Second thing I would suggest here, when we try to understand certain things in our life at that time, we tend to become consistent automatically. But the thing is that we should get some results in our life when we try to learn something. Well, most of the time what happens? Most of the time people take efforts, but they do not monitor themselves. They fail to understand that how to take feedback from themselves. And this is what I want you to understand today. Now, most of the time, what happens? We take action and we forget about that particular thing. We do not even understand that if I have taken this particular action, there may be a specific impact of that particular action in our life. Most of the time, our mind understands so many things. Every single day, there are new things which happen every time in your life. Today, something new happened. Tomorrow, there will be something new that will happen tomorrow. Every single day is nothing but a new day for you. I want you to understand is, why can't we make each and every day a wonderful day? Why can't we make this particular day as a memorable day? This is what I want you to understand. And when it comes to specifically with English at that time, what we need to understand is we just need to keep taking certain efforts every single day. If you just try to understand this thing, it will be easier for you. Now let's try to understand one interesting example. I'll tell you a few things here itself so that I followed in my life, which will be easier for you so that you can connect the same example in your real life as well. When you started writing for the first time, just imagine this particular thing. Just visualize this particular picture. That when you started writing certain things, let it be in your native language or let it be in English. When you were doing this thing at that time, what was the most essential thing? We were trying to understand something important, and that was nothing but you understood that to write in a systematic manner, to have that amazing handwriting, you had to take certain efforts. Isn't it? Yes. Some students or some friends that you must have seen in your life, and those people were nothing but you must have understood that their handwriting is so well. It is like pearl. You will just see that how beautiful handwriting it is. Why I am not able to write in that same kind of way? You must have this particular question. But whenever the first impression started at that time, those people who have very nice handwriting at that time, they try to understand that yes, this is the exact thing that I need to follow. And they focused on the same thing. And that's why their handwriting is still, if you just check them, if you just ask them to write something, you will see that their handwriting is still that much beautiful. But when it comes to your handwriting at that time, what happens in that particular case? You tried multiple things, but what you decided that yes, I'm getting good marks, that is totally fine. At least I'm passing the exam, that is totally fine. So instead of just focusing on improving that particular thing, what you decided, I'm getting the results, that's totally fine. I'm satisfied with this particular thing. When you reach to this specific level of satisfaction with whatever the results that you have in your life, you just stop improving yourself. And in terms of your communication skill, in terms of your English language, I would highly recommend that we get opportunities every single day to learn something. And for that particular thing, remember that you need to learn every single day. At this particular moment also, you are learning something. And whenever we try to do these things at that time, you need to understand that yes, I can easily focus on understanding these things, and it will be an easier thing for me to make everything on autopilot mode. Yes, this is possible when we try to understand certain things. And when we do the same kind of thing at that time, we develop multiple things in terms of getting clarity of so many concepts in our life. If I just tell you that, yes, now I'm going to just tell you a few things here where you will be in a position to understand that when I try to learn any concept in English at that time, it is my duty that I need to apply that concept in two places. First is nothing but we need to focus on understanding, improving our communication skill on the basis of the new concept that you are learning in this particular language. Most of the people, what they do, they learn something, and when they try to learn that particular thing at that time, we do not actually see that where you are applying that concept in your life. Whenever you are writing something or whenever you are speaking with people. Sometimes you must have observed that it happens automatically. For example, I'll give you the example of the most useful tense, and that is nothing but simple present tense. When we try to understand simple present tense at that time, if you just understand, every time, whenever we speak, most of the time we see that there are few sentences which will definitely come up with simple present tense. And when you write at that time as well, what actually we perform? We perform this thing automatically in our mind. You are not doing this thing purposefully, because whenever you educate yourself, you try to do the same thing automatically on your own. If you just take the example of a child, if the child is making any kind of mistake, if you observe that mistake and if you try to correct the child and if you tell that next time take care of this thing, the child will remember it automatically. The mindset will remember it automatically. And when it happens at that time, you get clarity of the same thing that yes, I made a mistake last time, I need to correct that particular thing. And when we do this particular thing at that time, we get complete clarity in terms of understanding the same thing. May I know the confirmation of the same kind of thing? Type it in the chat box. This is the most important thing that we need to understand. Right? When we do this particular thing, we get clarity about understanding the same kind of thing here. This is the importance of learning different things and applying those things in our real life. This is the most important stuff that we understand in terms of developing ourselves all the time. Now, when we do certain things at that time, what happens in our life? We try to get clarity of certain things. And when we get clarity of certain things at that time, we automatically understand that yes, I applied this concept and I'm getting clarity of this particular concept. Now make sure that whenever you try to write something and whenever you try to speak something, I want you to spend at least 10 minutes to improve your consistency. Now see, what happens most of the time, people have habit of using the same set of sentences again and again, which is not wrong at all, which is the perfect habit they have developed. But the thing is that you can upgrade your sentences. You can just improve the quality of different sentences that you use while writing your emails or while speaking with people. And when do you learn these things? When you learn these particular things at that time, you get clarity that yes, I need to upgrade this thing. So that's why I always insist my students that remember, when you try to develop your language skills, see the first thing, when you try to develop your language skills, you automatically focus on your speaking and writing. When you do both of these things at that time, what happens exactly? You understand that yes, now I need to focus on my communication skills also. And you automatically start interacting with people. And when you face different situations at that time, you imagine that yes, now yesterday I spoke very well. The moment you get results in your life after applying certain concepts, you automatically tend towards improving your consistency. See, consistency is something you will get results. You will get excitation that yes, now this happened with me. I will do the same thing and I will try to get amazing results in my life. This is the beauty of understanding these things. Most of the time, what people do, they get certain results. They feel very happy after getting the results and they leave that particular thing wherever it is. They do not try to get it to the next level. But remember one thing, we all are lifelong learners. When we develop ourselves as lifelong learners at that time, we need to develop a perfect habit in our life. And when we develop this perfect habit at that time, what happens? It's our duty to focus on certain things that we should develop certain habits which will take us to different heights in our life. That's the most important thing. And see, when we try to understand about consistency at that time, remember that slow, steady, and consistent efforts are really going to help you in your life. Remember this particular thing. You can mark this sentence somewhere else. No one has become confident. No one has become that much strong in just 1 day, 2 days. But remember that whenever you try to develop yourself at that time, it's the series of constant efforts that you take. And when you take these constant efforts at that time, you realize that yes, this is something important that I'm really focusing on. You become conscious. And I call this approach as my conscious corrective approach. I talk about it in my 5-day bootcamp a lot because I teach this particular thing on day number 3 of the 5-day bootcamp. And when I taught you this particular thing at that time, you must have learned this particular thing. You understood that, wow, this is the amazing concept. But when you had to apply that concept at that time, what exactly happened? You tried to apply that concept second time, third time, right? And after that thing, you tried to understand the same concept again and again, but somewhere you broke the chain. And the moment you break the chain, you lose the level of your consistency. Remember that if you want to become consistent in your life at that time, you need to take efforts every single day, no matter what. See, most of the people tell me, sir, we are completely occupied. We don't get time. If you're completely occupied, you need to understand one thing. Remember, guys, whenever you try to develop yourself at that time, you need to set the priority. And remember, your English, your communication skills, your public speaking ability, your ability to influence people, these are the things which are the most important things to develop in your life. Put them at a top priority. Most of the people, they believe that I'm totally occupied in my life and because of that particular thing, I'm not able to do anything. There are so many people, they have their job responsibility. They are really amazing people. They have huge potential. They have experience of 5 to 10 years. But if you really want to save your next 10 years, it is highly recommended that you need to focus on understanding certain things. And those things are nothing but work on your language skills, focus on improving your communication skills every single day. And once you do that particular thing, you will be in a position to focus on getting clarity of making yourself a great communicator. Now, along with this particular thing, I'll tell you the story of a specific person. I would definitely not take the name here, but yes, I'll tell you a few of these things. When you try to focus on getting constant results at that time, you automatically get that particular confidence, that assurity that yes, I can do this particular thing. Now, I'll tell you this particular thing. So there was a person who tried to understand certain things. Okay. And when he was trying to understand that it is not actually possible, that how can I improve my English, how can I go ahead with this particular thing, but there were some consistent efforts that he was trying to take. And whenever he understood that particular thing, there is a specific time in everyone's life. Even the same thing is applicable to you also. Whatever the story of this particular person that I'm telling you, the person realized that there is something that I need to focus on understanding this thing. The person understood that, yes, let's try. This is the new thing. Let's try this particular thing in my life. And the moment he started applying simple grammatical concepts, he was able to make some sentences. The moment the person was able to make those simple sentences, he tried to speak them wherever it was possible, right? And whenever it was possible to write as well. So the consistency started happening automatically in his life. He automatically started taking efforts consistently. And whenever he used to learn new thing, he started applying the concept in order to speak or in order to write. Now, if you just consider, you need to focus on selected topics in English grammar, right? When you learn this particular language at that time. And when you keep learning this particular language, you get clarity that, yes, this is the concept that I used. Now I need to use this much concept, this second concept also. So with this particular person, what happened exactly? Whatever concept that he learned in the beginning, he was able to correlate those concepts in his life whenever he used to write something or whenever he used to read something. And he was also trying to use the same concept whenever he was trying to speak something. Now, along with this particular thing, obviously when he was talking to different people, he was reading something and he was trying to write something. He started facing some challenges. And the moment he was facing some challenges, he tried to focus on learning more and more and more. And in this particular way, he decided to understand that, yes, I need to spend some more time to understand this thing. And every single day he started taking efforts to learn something new, apply these things. And according to that, the person became a great communicator. He removed all those psychological barriers, all the language barriers, and he was able to understand something amazing, that yes, we can develop this particular language in simple step-by-step manner. That's how you become confident. This is the most important thing that you need to understand in your life, right? Most of the people, they fail to improve themselves because of one thing, and that is nothing but not being consistent. If you really want to become consistent, I would suggest you to follow one thing. Try to learn something every single day. And when you learn that particular concept at that time, make sure that you will write down something, whatever that you learn about that particular concept. For example, even if you have learned tenses, that's totally fine. Try to use those concepts. See, the biggest reason is nothing but you are not bridging the gap between the information that you have and the implementation that you need to do in your life. You get lots of knowledge. There is no issue in that particular case. Whenever you get the knowledge at that time, if you do not apply those concepts in another 48 hours, you forget everything. This is the standard psychology that I'm telling you. The psychologist suggests that when you try to learn some things at that time, if you just learn the concept and if you keep it as it is not going to help you at all. Because until and unless you use the same concept within that span of time, you do not develop that neuroplasticity in your mind regarding that particular concept. So when it comes to understanding the same thing, you need to focus on getting clarity of multiple things in your life. And when it happens at that time, what you need to understand is keep applying the same concept again and again. So here I'm telling you one thing. If you followed some certain thing on day 1, repeat the same thing on day 3 before 48 hours, right? When you do the same kind of thing, just do the same thing on day number 5. After doing that particular thing, repeat the same thing on day number 6. You will be in a position to see that you are able to remember certain things. Whatever that you learn on day number 1, you will be able to retain maximum information. And whenever you do this particular thing at the time, you get lots of clarity in terms of improving certain things. Now, let me give you a pro tip here in terms of improving your presentation skill. Do you give presentation and you always have that kind of phobia in your mind that how can I give the killer presentation? How can I impress people? In order to impress people while giving your presentation, you need to focus on certain things. Which are those things that you need to focus on? First, make sure that you maintain proper loudness to create the impact. Second, take proper pauses and focus on people. Third, make sure that you will ask questions to people. Because when you ask questions to people, you make them engage. And when you keep all your people engaged at that time, you automatically create that influence on them. Make sure that you will follow these tips in your next presentation, and you will be able to understand the importance of these skills in your life. Make sure that you try to understand that when you start the presentation at that time, you will ask questions effectively. And most of the time, whenever it comes to objection handling at that time, you need to understand. Stay conscious, stay confident, don't get nervous, and try to focus on understanding the question first. Don't just feel nervous that what is this particular question? How will I be able to answer immediately? My seniors are sitting there. My colleagues are sitting there. My juniors are sitting there. What if I make the mistake? No need to think anything about it. Focus on understanding one thing. And what is that? Understand the questions properly. Take a pause, not longer pause, I would say take a pause. Now repeat the same question if you are able to just do the same thing. And try to understand that. Throw a specific question to your audience by taking a name of any specific person. Or if the same person has asked the question, if you ask the same question to that person, you will be in a position to generate some more time to think about that particular topic. And remember, if you feel that you are completely blank, you don't know anything about that particular question, just try to understand, accept it honestly, and just tell whatever the people that you are giving the presentation, that if there is a person, for example, his name is Sachin, and Sachin has asked you this particular question, well, just point the same question towards Sachin and tell, well, Sachin, I remember that we have worked on this particular thing last time. Now I believe that we need to focus on understanding the same thing, and let me see what I can do for this particular concern, and I will definitely get back to you. See, when you tackle the situation at that time, you understand that yes, this is the most important thing. And to do all those things at that time, whatever consistent efforts that you were taking, those efforts are important. See, remember guys, when you try to take consistent efforts at that time, you do not actually see the results getting immediately in your life. But whatever the version that you are right now at this particular moment, this is the result of consistency in your life. You can take my example also. I have taken consistent efforts to improve myself every single day. Now, if you just ask me, most of my students, right, in the 4-week program and in the 5-day bootcamp also, most of my students, they ask me, sir, one day I want to become a person like you who will speak like this particular thing. But what I suggest is, guys, you have your unique style of speaking. Why do you want to become like me? Right? This is the most important thing. I tell you this particular thing here. And instead of that particular thing, what do I say? I always tell you that instead of being a version of someone else, why don't you focus on becoming the best version of yourself? Right? See, definitely you can learn so many things from me. You can learn so many things from others also. But the most important thing is, you need to make those changes in your own life. That is the most important thing that you need to understand, right? When we do these particular things at that time, we get clarity about understanding certain things, and we develop lots of things in our life. And that's the most important thing that you need to understand, right? Now, let me tell you a few things here that you can understand. Those people who are not the members of the 4-week family, I want to give them a good news here. Those who have just attended my 5-day bootcamp, for them, I am going to give you an amazing opportunity to continue your journey with me. How? I am going to tell you. In the description of this particular YouTube live stream, you will be able to see one course link, right? I have made it affordable for all of you. Those who are not the part of this 4-week family yet, they can get this certificate for our 5-day bootcamp, right? All the videos are given to you, whatever the videos, including the live sessions also. I have given all these videos in that particular 5-day bootcamp course, whatever that I created. And you can have 300 rupees discount on the same thing to keep all the videos for lifetime. Remember, this is not for the 4-week course. This is not for the people who are already in the 4-week family. You are already getting that thing in your 4-week course. But those people, those who haven't joined the 4-week course yet, they can simply go to that particular link in the description to get the discount of rupees 300 to get certificate for 5-day bootcamp, as well as get lifetime access to the videos that I have created for all of you guys. Make sure that you take consistent efforts, and for that purpose, I brought this particular thing for all of you, right? So I feel that this is a wonderful thing that you can take action today, and you can just develop the sense of consistency in your life. This is the most important thing that you need to follow, right? When we try to understand these things, see, remember one thing, whatever the consistent efforts that you are taking every single day in your life, you are here because of that thing. If you believe that you haven't improved much, remember one thing: whatever the efforts that you have taken, you are here because of this thing. If you just improve the quality of your efforts, if you train yourself well, if you just understand certain things, if you stay in the community of the like-minded people, remember, the chances of improvement are always higher, right? And when we take those efforts all the time, when we develop all those things on our own, we get lots of clarity in our life, and we automatically develop certain things. And that's the beauty of being consistent in your life. Now, if you just take a simple example, before ending this particular live stream, I'll give you one interesting example once again. When you go to gym at that time, or when you just start doing one exercise at that time, what happens? You automatically understand certain things, that yes, whatever that trainer tells you in that particular gym, that you need to focus on doing this kind of push-ups, or you need to focus on curling the bars, the dumbbells, and all those things. Whenever you take those consistent efforts at that time, do you see results every day? You never see results every day. But whenever you take constant efforts by believing in your mentor, and whenever you look at yourself after 1 month, after 2 months, after 3 months, you get that amazing result, and you do not even understand that how is it possible? I just tried certain thing. And whenever you tried those things at that time, you got that complete clarity. And that is the beauty of being consistent. Consistency will not show you results immediately, but consistency will definitely show you results after some time, and that will be the permanent change in your life. So try to be consistent by understanding all those things. And yes, you are going to achieve all of your dreams. And the most important thing is, I want to see all of my students to be a great speakers in their life, so that you can influence the world. And remember, the world is waiting for you. So that's it for the day. I will see you in the next YouTube live stream. By the time, keep learning, keep growing. Bye bye, guys.